Here we go. Now, for question number 2. It says, the product of -1 and a number x. So that's just what? -1x. Now, you really don't even have to do -1, but if you did, that's okay. The product of -1 and a number x decreased by 2 times the number y. I didn't understand why that was so hard, but a lot of people had a lot of trouble with that. All right, so take a look at that. Make sure you're good. Quotient means to do what? Divide, right? But I would prefer that instead of saying divide, you can say it's going to be a fraction. The quotient of a number, w, that would go on the top, and 5 subtracted from z, so that would be z minus 5. Now remember, if you wrote it some other way, that's going to require you to have some parentheses. All right? It's going to require you to have some parentheses. But, right, this is how I want you to write it. All right? This is how I want you to write it. All right? I don't want it with a division symbol. I do not want this symbol. We don't use that anymore. All right? Is everybody okay with this? Everybody good? All right, so here we go. Number 6, we had some fractions. What's the common denominator here? 12. So the first thing you should have said was 12. 5 6 is how many 12ths? 10 minus 3/4 is how many? 9 12ths. All right, what's 10 minus 9? So I have 12 times 1/12, which is what? 1. Which is 1. All right, it's not an equation. You're just multiplying 12 times 1/12. And 12 times 1/12 is 1. All right? Simple. All right? Number 8, naming the property. What is that called? Commutative. What's 10? 0 property. That's right. Inverse. Okay, here we go. On 14. On 14, take a look. Distributing. So this would be -15y minus 5y plus 40 plus 4y squared plus 8. Is everybody seeing that? Now we combine terms. Well, there's nothing really to combine with 4y squared, so I'm going to write 4y squared. Then I'm going to combine these two, which is -20y, and then I'm going to combine a positive 40 and a positive 8. That's what you should have written. A lot of people have trouble with these. I'm not sure. It's just combining like terms, which we've done for a long time now. All right. Anybody have any issues? All right. Let's talk about the numbers. Because the decimal repeats, it is rational. It is rational. -3 is an integer, and it's rational. All right? Those are just definitions that you should know. All right? Now, the important stuff. If you are good at solving equations, we can have a good year. All right? If you have trouble with equations, it's going to be a difficult thing because we're always going to be working with equations, always. So you have to be very good at it. All right? So here we go. All right, we're going to add 24 to both sides. So 6x is equal to -48. So x is equal to -8. Yeah, some of you just made little mistakes. All right? Here we go with 22. All right, with 22. Now for me, I'm going to try to keep the variable positive, so I added 5x and I added 24. Six x equals 54. So x is 9. Now remember, speak up. Speak up, speak up, speak up if you're not sure about something. And I'm encouraging you to look and see how many silly mistakes you made. All right? Here we go. 24. All right? Minus 2/3 x minus 2/3 x plus 3 plus 3. Cancel, cancel. -1 plus 3 is 2, right? Now I need a common denominator. Is that accurate? And the common denominator here is what? 6. So 1/2 is how many 6s? 3/6 minus what? 4/6. Which is what? Thank you. -1/6x. Is everybody good with that? And now we multiply by the, so we're going to multiply by -6, so x equals -12. Everybody good? All right, here we go. 26. We have a proportion here. Whenever we have a proportion, we just do what? Cross multiply. So, -7 times x minus 5 equals 4 times 9 minus 2x. Distribute. -7x plus 35 equals 36 minus 8x. Is everybody okay with that? Now I do what? Add 8x minus 35. X equals what? 1. You guys use the restroom over here, not through the TV. All right? Sorry. You guys have to use the restroom on that side. You have to go out because they don't want you interrupting TV. All right? Everybody good here? Yeah. Okay, let's take a look now at 28. All right? Now I have to distribute. So I end up with 2x minus 10 plus 3x equals 3x minus 12 plus 8. Everybody see that? Everybody see? So now, combining terms, 5x minus 10 equals 3x minus 4. And from there, minus 3x plus 10 plus 10. 2x equals 6, so x equals what? X equals 3. Everybody pretty good with that? All right, now the fun problems. All right, the SAT questions. All right. Now, again, this one, there was like 2 or 3 of you that got this right out of everybody. All right, so this was kind of hard, but actually it wasn't very hard. All right, it was actually kind of easy. All right, so we had to just distribute. When you distribute, is there really anything to distribute here? No, so that's just 7532 plus 100y squared. Now I have to distribute the 10, which becomes plus 100y squared minus 1110, or 1,100. You may have any issues with that. Now we're combining terms. All right? When we combine terms, I have what? 200y squared plus 6432. You may have any questions with that. So if you got to that part, you really had the right answer. You just didn't answer the question. The question says A is the number in front of the y squared, B is the constant. What am I supposed to do with those? Add them. So all you're doing is going 6432 plus 200, which is 6632. All right? So following direction, kind of important. All right? Any questions with that? All right? So let's continue on. 32. It says a certain package requires, I said 3 centimeters, right?
Yeah.
All right. A certain package requires 3 centimeters of tape to close securely. So if you have 6 meters, that means you have how many centimeters? 600. 600 divided by 3. You can do 200 packages. Does that make sense? All right. Now, 34. The correct answer is, Sebastian, what? Yeah, it is 52. Look what I did. Hold on. You guys are not hearing me yet. You're not hearing me. All right, look what I did. B is what, guys? 20, right? Come on now, please look. Does everybody agree B is 20?
Yeah.
So if B is 20, that makes A what? So those of us who just thought they were so smart and they just put 32 down didn't answer the question. Right? And my answer choice was, guess what? C. Because I didn't read the question. The question is, what's A plus B? So the correct answer is what? D. So those of you guys who got D and those of you guys who didn't make a D, because I made a mistake, I'm going to correct that mistake by giving you what? Plus 5. So everybody gets to add 5 to their test right now. Yes. Everybody add 5. Everybody add 5. Now, that's right. I made a mistake, so I punished myself for making a mistake.
You're not Mr. Right anymore.
So here we go. Listen carefully to me now. All right, though I haven't added that 5 points yet to your grade. So if I forget, you got to remind me tomorrow. All right, I probably won't forget, but it's a possibility. All right. So now, that is the entire test for the evens. Now I want you to go back tonight and double check all of your what? Odds. Why not? All the grades were posted. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. I'll look at it again. I may have not clicked the right. Did anybody else see their grade, or what did I not click?
No, I did not click. You didn't submit my grade.
Yeah, I didn't. What I did is they're in there. It's just not what. It's just I just didn't put the grade in. All right, so I'll click that off and add the 5. All right. So now, listen. I need everybody's attention real quick because I'm going to close this out, or I'm going to pause it just for a quick. Our first note in this section should be the definition of these terms. All right. So the first thing I would like for you to write down is I'd like for you to understand what a relation is. And you would just say a relation is just a set of ordered pairs. All right. I'd like everybody to write that down. Make sure you got this. A relation is just simply a set of ordered pairs. Now, I don't really think we need to discuss what a table is. A table and a graph and a mapping are just 3 different ways in which you write the ordered pairs. All right. So, for example, a table would be in this format right here. All right. When you graph the ordered pair, it will be an x and y axis, and you'll plot the points. And then a mapping is something that's really super old school that I won't ever ask you to do, but it requires you to look at 2 different ovals. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. All right, don't worry about it. All right, I promise you it's very simple. All right. Then the next thing you have to worry about is the domain and the range. And I want you to write domain. Those are simply the x values. And what do you think the range is? That's exactly right. Now, sometimes kids forget what order. I always tell them in alphabetical order. D comes before R, X comes before Y. Therefore, the domain corresponds to the X and the range corresponds to the Y. All right? Now, we're definitely going to have a test next week. All right, probably on Tuesday. So if you want to make a change in what your grade was, now's the time you're making a change. Speak up if you don't know something. All right? I don't care. Okay? Just hurry. All right? So those are all the definitions, the things that you have to know in order to complete the assignment. All right? If you know that, the assignment's super easy. All right? So now we're going to look at question number 1. All right? So in order to look at question number 1, so I had enough room, I went ahead and just reprinted it right down here. So it says, express the relation as a table. All right, so look how simple the table is. You should already know how to do this. You just make it just like in 6th grade when you first did the end of the year. We did X and Y. The X's go on the left, so you would put 4, -2, 5. And then the Y that corresponds with the X. Does everybody agree? How easy is that? All right, very simple. All right. Now we're going to do a graph. What?
Do we have to write the on the top?
Thank you. I just care about the answer. All right. Again, I'm not going to make you write the problem down. All right. I think just the answer is okay. If you were solving an equation, it's good to start with the equation. But right now, all right, this is just very simple. All right, just participate. Very easy. All right, so now we're going to do a graph. So for you guys on a graph, we're not making anything elaborate. Just draw an X and Y axis. That's all you have to do. And you have to refresh yourself on plotting points. So where is 4, 3? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. There I am, 4, 3. Is everybody good with that? And now plot -2, 2. -2, up 2. Another dot. And then 5, -6. We go to the right 5 and down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Does everybody see how simple I want that? You guys have been plotting points seriously since 5th grade. So that's not a problem. All right. Now the next thing I want for you is I want a mapping. All right, which I'm never going to ask you to do. But sometimes in old books, if you're looking through math books, you might see it and you go, what's that? And it looks kind of complicated. But in fact, guess what? It's very, very simple. All right, so let's do your first mapping. So your first mapping would be an oval and an oval. All right, this is D, and this is what? What does D stand for? And R? Now, generally for a mapping from my old school days, you always wrote the numbers in numerical order. So for the domain, you would write what? -2, 4, and 5. Does everybody see that? And the range you would write in numerical order also. And the range would be -6, 2, and 3. Does everybody see that? Now the mapping is, well, -2 maps to what? So you draw an arrow to 2. And then 4 maps to what? 3, right? And 5 maps to what? Yeah, I told you guys. Isn't that easy? Very simple. And there's your mapping. All right, I think we did this.
How do you know to put the numbers in order in the D and R oval?
Well, if you didn't put it in order, guess what? I wouldn't even mark it wrong. All right, I'm just saying traditionally you put the numbers in order. All right, is everybody with me on that? All right, like I said, I'm not going to ask you to draw a mapping. It's kind of just old school. All right, so now I would like for you to say the domain looks something like this. The domain is simply a list of the X values, which is -2, 4, 5. And the range is -6, 2, and 3. And again, when you're listing them out, generally you write them in numerical order. Now, for this order, all right, for this order, do they have to be, does -2 necessarily have to correspond to -6?
No.
No. Is everybody with me on this? All right, does everybody agree that's very simple? Very simple. All right. So after that, I want to go back now, and I want to look at question number 3. All right. Now, something else you might want to add for your definition is this. Your independent variable is your x, and your dependent is probably then your what? Your dependent is your y value. All right. Now, how I try to remember that is x can be anything, but y depends on whatever what x is. Is everybody with me on that? That's how I think a good way of remembering. Y depends on x. X is completely what? Independent. X can be anything that you want it to be, but as soon as you give x a value, then that tells you, or that makes the y value dependent upon whatever the x is. Is everybody okay with that explanation? All right, fairly straightforward. All right. Now again, I'm probably not going to ask you a question about independent and dependent. Just sometimes the book has their special terms and they like these terms. I'd like for you to just understand x and y. All right. Now, if we read question number 3 together, it says, increasing the temperature of a compound inside a sealed container increases the pressure inside the sealed container. All right? So your job is to try to tell me what's the independent and what's the dependent. Well, first thing, let's talk about what 2 things are we talking about here. We're talking about Miles. What 2 things?
We're talking about the temperature and the pressure.
I'm exactly correct, buddy. Thank you very much. We're talking about the temperature and we're talking about the pressure. So what is the independent?
The temperature.
Temperature is independent. If you raise the temperature, what's going to happen? The pressure increases. So the pressure depends upon the what? Temperature. Is that kind of free? Yes, that's exactly correct. All right, you with me? All right, just to make sure, let's look at number 4. Let's look at number 4. Now, someone else try to participate. Mike's cell phone is part of a family plan. If he uses more minutes than his share, then there are fewer minutes available for the rest of his family. All right, so what are the 2 things we're talking about? Will, good for you. Just tell me what 2 things are we talking about? The family plan? But whose minutes though? Whose minutes are we talking about? His minutes. And his is who? Mike. Perfect. So those are the 2 things I'd like for you to talk about. Mike's minutes and the family plan. All right, what's the X?
X
is Mike. X is Mike. Because if Mike increases, what happens to his family? They decrease. Does everybody agree with that? So the family is dependent upon how much what? Mike used. Does that make sense, guys? All right. And again, there'll probably be a multiple choice question on the test where you have to just answer that. All right. All right, let's take a look at number 5. All right, for number 5. Julian is buying concert tickets for himself and his friends. The more concert ticket he buys, the greater the cost. Tell me. No, that's okay. Come on. It doesn't matter. Remember, right or wrong, it doesn't matter. You're trying. All right, so what 2 things are we talking about for this one? Tickets, I would agree with you. And what else? And the cost. That's exactly correct. All right. So which one is the X and which one is the Y? Is what? That's exactly correct. The more you buy, the greater the what? So the cost is dependent upon the number of tickets you buy. I just think that's pretty easy. All right, you got to think through. They always ask you questions like that on the SAT. All right. Now, let's look at 7, which I don't even want you to write anything down for 7. All right, I'm really not going to ask you to do something like this, although you will be looking at a graph, and then it'll be a multiple choice question as well, and you kind of have to try to figure it out. All right, so look at this right here. All right, so what is the y value? Distance. And what is the x value? Time. Exactly. So what's happening to the distance over time? It's increasing. Whoever said that, that's perfect. It's exactly correct. Right? Over a certain period of time, the distance is increasing. All right, now let's try to follow along here. So I'm going to start out traveling. All right, and I told my earlier class, I have no idea. I don't like to make up things, so I kind of like to follow along to see if something's true or false. So right now I have to make it up, so I want to see if you're agreeing with me. We're going to start from what? From home. And then we're going to go on a little trip. All right, so we get in our car and we go driving. All right. So what's happening from here to here? You're just driving. You're driving at a normal pace. Does the pace change at all? No, very good, because it's a line. Listen to what I'm saying. That's important. All right. Is the distance changing?
Yes.
Yes. Is the time changing? Yes. Is the rate at which you're moving changing? No. Not on this line right here. Not on the orange, because it's a straight line. All right, which we're going to be talking about a lot, which is going to be referred to as the slope. So you're getting in your car, let's say you're driving 40 miles an hour. That's what that represents. You're driving the same 40 miles per hour. All right? Now, I want someone who's paying attention to tell me what's going on from here to here. What happened? What had happened?
Yeah, the traffic took a break.
Yep. You hit traffic, and all of a sudden you came to a what? Stop. All right, because your distance isn't increasing. So bear with me. Staying the same. So the interpretation could be you hit traffic and now you're completely stopped. There was an accident or something. Is everybody good on this? All right. Now, the next part. From here to here, what happens? Yep, you pass the traffic and now you're on your way. Now, somebody tell me, am I going at the same speed I was before, or is it going at a different?
Going faster. Oh no, here.
Hold up, I'm going to see. Watch out. That's why I like the notability. I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to put it over here.
A little bit faster.
Tell me.
A little bit faster.
A little bit faster. You're just going a little bit faster. Right? Now, uh-oh. Now, I'm going to do something here. From here to here. Caroline, what am I doing? Exactly, I'm going slower. Right? So maybe I was going 40 miles per hour. Now I'm in a residential area and I can only go what? 30 miles per hour. So everybody see that? So that's just kind of a little thing that we're looking on. Now, I'm really proud of some of you guys who knew that, because this right here, if you compare it to the red, is what? Less. So look right here, guys. We talked about this last year. That's 0. Now I'm what? Increasing. The steeper, the faster. So everybody good with that? Right? So it's just a matter of relationship to the line. All right, we're going to learn a lot about that. Very, very important. All right, does anybody have any questions with that? I think we're good. Right? Now, if you understand the odds on this, guess what's happening down here? Same thing. All right? All you're doing now is when you get down to here, guys, I want you to answer the questions the best you can. All right? Now, I'm going to stop the video because I want to show you something I think is super important that I'm going to try to do for you this year. But I need your attention.